Good morning, everyone. It's Claude, owner, founder of BMF, here with, I really feel like he doesn't need an introduction, but with Mr. Mike Tyele. He's a Marine law enforcement officer, husband, father, and just a respectable person in the community. And here we're here just to have a casual conversation about his experiences, his growth, and what he's currently doing now for the community.
Hello, my name is, as he said, Mike Tyler. Born in Hawaii, but raised here since '69, so I consider myself a native of California. Went to local schools, attended El Camino High School. After that, I did a couple years in junior college. Found that I didn't really like school too much, so I decided to join the military. I was in the Marine Corps for 9 years.
What was your MOS?
My MOS was military police.
Okay, nice. What was the factor that drove you to join the military, specifically the Marine Corps?
One, I didn't like school. Two, I had a lot of family that was private Marines.
Okay.
So that was what I was used to being around. Mm-hmm. And I grew up around the Marine Corps base, being raised out in the back gate of Camp Pendleton here. So it just seemed to be a natural fit for me to join the Marine Corps.
Makes sense. Makes sense. If you could use 2 to 3 words, how would you describe your time in the service?
Well, obviously, a good bond with people that you meet around the world. Loyalty and pride for the country, yes.
Yeah, and we see that a lot, especially in our branch. As you know, I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years, and camaraderie, loyalty, and everything you said is just essential to who we are as Marines. Would you say that you carry those traits from being a Marine into your next phase of life?
Absolutely, yes.
Cool.
I mean, it just seemed a right fit for living my lifestyle in regards to being loyal, and being straight up honest and prideful as far as family, your job, and your spirit.
Yeah, of course, all essential. You did some time in the Marine Corps, and then you transitioned out. What was the gap between when you transitioned from a Marine to a law enforcement officer?
It was really maybe a couple of months. Prior to getting out of the Marine Corps, I applied for some law enforcement departments. First got picked up in LA as a transit officer. Okay. So I worked up in LA for 2 years, and then I lateraled down, what they call lateraling down, to Oceanside, and did the remainder of my career here in Oceanside.
How long were you working with Oceanside PD?
So I had 26 years with Oceanside, 2 years up in LA.
Okay, wow. And then how would you describe your experience as a law enforcement officer in Oceanside PD?
Well, initially as you start off, obviously, especially if you go into law enforcement in a community that you grew up in, you obviously run across people that you either went to school with, you grew up with, or maybe related to, so, and it can be very tough when you come across those type of decisions. But the bottom line is, I was entrusted to do a certain job, and I can't allow, depending on the situation, I can't allow something to cause me to defer my thoughts or feelings in regards to what needed to be done in that certain situation. So it was tough, but as I continued to stay in Oceanside, I built more relationships and I felt trust within the community to where I can able to engage with people without having to worry about being in a compromised position.
I have a story for you, but before I tell the story, I always want to premise, I've always respected you as just who you was.
Thank you.
You just seem like the type of, from my observation, a guy that walks in a room and kind of demands presence, respect. But what I appreciate about you is you give it too. Right? I've never felt uncomfortable around you. I've always felt welcomed by you and your family, and I always felt respected. With that being said, I have a story for you. I don't think I've ever told you this before. My car broke down, and I had to take an Uber for like a week, right? And then there was this big Samoan guy who was my Uber driver, and we just, I don't know if, I love chatting. So we were just having a casual conversation, and somehow it came up that Caitlin's family married into a Samoan family, right? And then he was like, "Oh, who was that?" I was like, "Do you know the Tyles? The Tyles?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." He was like, "Do you know Mike?" And I was like, yes. I was like, he's technically like my wife's uncle, like uncle-in-law. He was like, yeah, he arrested me. but what he said was he took accountability. He said he was just a young kid just doing stupid stuff, and then he got arrested by you. But he said that you were very respectable when you did it, and that you wanted becoming a mentor for him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I wish I could remember his name. I apologize. All I know, and this is probably not the best description, that he's just a big Samoan guy, which
is pretty common description for
yes. Yes, and he drives Uber. But it was just like, wow, my respect for you just grown so much, because it was just a random, you know what I'm saying? But he really emphasized how respectable you was when you went about things, and then he started looking up to you as a mentor after that.
I appreciate those words, and I appreciate you thinking that I don't try to come into command of a room. I do try to come in and show people respect the way that I would want somebody to show me or my family respect. Of course. I would like to treat people the same as if I was not around, how they would treat your mother. I would want them to treat with respect and kindness and what have you, And I've always felt that you get what you put out there. So if you treat people with respect, regardless of the situation, okay, then in the long run, you hope that returns, because you mistreat somebody, they're going to remember that, and then that can come back to haunt you.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah,
I agree with you 1,000%. What are some traits because you have experience being a Marine and working as a law enforcement officer, what traits, what are some things that you still hold on that defines who you are today?
Well, loyalty's always been the thing, Whoever I'm dealing with, whether it's my family, most important, my friends, my relatives, I always try to treat them with loyalty, and that comes, like I said, going back to giving what you put out there, okay, in hopes of getting that back in return, okay. As the Bible says, you sow what you reap. So if you sow generously, you're going to reap generously. May not be materialistic things, but in the long run, it's good for everybody if you are willing to reach out to people with that, as well as being structured. I like to make sure that I have a plan when I do things. I don't like to be wandering around like the saying, your head in the clouds, just wandering around.
Or they can say a chicken without a head. So
I like to be structured. My kids probably would say that I maybe was a little bit too strict. And as I got older, I realized that, and now that I have grandkids, I see the difference the way I treat them as opposed. And my kids let me know every time, boy, you kids are getting away with a lot, because Papa would tell me that, this is what we did and this is what you guys don't even do half the things that we used to do.
Yeah.
So, but it was all a learning experience, and they appreciated it as well as I did, So those are the kind of things that I continue to keep with me in regards from the military and the law enforcement community.
Yeah, definitely. So you've had a lot of transitions, a lot of adjustment periods, right? A lot of people would describe them as big adjustments, because the fact that you separated from the Marine Corps, and then you went right into the law enforcement, and then you recently retired. You've been retired for a few years now, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yes. How have you been maintaining your mental health with all these adjustments? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, not at all. To be honest with you, what really has kept me grounded is that I have gotten more spiritual in my walk with Jesus, and I've learned that has helped me to realize the Bible is really, my book is a very powerful book. I don't know if you know this, but you know what Bible stands for?
No.
Basic instruction before leaving earth. And I find that's
powerful,
profound, to where everything that you need, any answer you need, you can find that, or you ask, and he may not give you your wants, but he will always provide you for your needs if you're walking. And that has kept me grounded and kept me, I think, in a strong mental state, not allowing me to get a little, because I do get angry sometimes, as any human being, but if I remember like the old sayings, what would Jesus do, stuff, little things like that brings me back to where I'm going down a road that I should not go. You know, so either regain your composure, or take a deep breath, or adjust yourself, but don't put yourself in a predicament where you're going to regret later on. And that's what I think has helped me mentally to stay in the present.
Yeah.
You know, not allowing me to go and wander off mindlessly or whatever. So I really base that on my spirit walk with the Lord.
I really love that. When you transitioned out, right, and when you separated from everything, did you ever struggle with like identity, with like trying to figure out who you was, or like you said, have you always been pretty much grounded?
You know, I guess I'm very fortunate because I came from a family that was very religious. It was actually kind of forced on our throats. And irregardless, Sunday, we were going to go to church, whether we wanted to or not, from even into my young adult ages. And my mom was a very big believer in that. And that has carried a long ways. And I grew up, obviously, a Catholic, and I grew up in doing all the different steps to be a good Catholic. I've now since become a Christian, but irregardless, the fact is we all worship the same God, and that's what probably kept me mostly, I don't want to say sane, but in my right mind, and not allowing me to.
I hear you. So what I'm hearing from you is family and faith is what's been keeping you grounded, keeping you sane, and keeping you who you are. Would you agree with that?
Most definitely.
With you see a lot of veterans, right, especially nowadays, and just in general, struggle with transitioning out, right? A lot come from different states, sometimes even countries, and then they get out and they really struggle with finding out who they are, right? What recommendations would you give a fellow veteran or even law enforcement officer in order to get back, that maybe don't have the foundation that you have?
Don't allow yourself to not address an issue. Seek help. Communicate. Even the little things, just communicate. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to anybody, whoever you feel more comfortable with or not. Even a stranger might even give you that word or that mindset of encouragement to put you in a right place where you rethink of what you were about to do and hopefully realize that there's more to it than what you're thinking of. So I think communication is very important, and asking for help. I know as a Marine we're prideful and what have you, but there's nothing wrong with asking for help, okay? Because not asking for help, the alternative could be very bad, and then it doesn't help anybody at the end. Yeah,
I hear you 1,000%. I love Caitlin. We hit 12 years married this weekend.
Congratulations.
And then we're gonna hit 16 years together this year, right? I feel like we've always had a strong relationship, but I feel like my relationship with her didn't grow to take it to the next level until I learned what you said, communicate. Right? Because like you said, as a Marine and maybe even as a law enforcement officer, those values of figuring out things on your own and just you know what I'm
right. We about. Don't want to show weakness.
We don't want to show weakness. We don't want to ask for help. When I started telling her, when I started communicating to her what I've been through, what's going on with me, and I allowed her to support me, our relationship now has just flourished and just grown into, because I've just been holding so much in. And then as you may know, as seen observed, it'll catch up to you.
Oh yeah,
it'll catch up to you for sure.
I've seen it catch up to people, and I commend you, because I've seen the growth in your guys' relationship. I've seen that you've been around more, and that there's more of an engagement with each other that you can see, and that's good. And I'm happy for you and Caitlin and your kids. But you got to learn to step out of your box. Because we put ourselves in a box. Step out of that box. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Okay, I mean, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So you've got to reach out and ask somebody.
Definitely. What would you say physical fitness, being physically active, what part does that play in your life?
It plays a big role, because if you're healthy and you're strong, you're able to, I feel, to do more in regards to everyday life or just being, again, present. Whereas if you allow yourself to get doormat or get I guess stale, so to speak.
Yeah.
The body is a wonderful thing, but you've got to keep it moving. If you don't, it goes stale real quick. And from that, then you start incurring different little ailments that become bigger and bigger, and then that starts affecting your mental state of mind. Because they go hand in hand. You got to have a strong body to have a strong mind.
Yes, that's one thing that BMF. This is one thing that we're really emphasizing: taking care of the body and the mind, because you need both. And like you said it, you just hit it right on the dot. They're correlated. They work hand in hand.
Absolutely, they do. So that's why I feel physical fitness is very important. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you start off small, and then you gauge yourself. And then as long as that becomes a part of your regimen every day, everything else opens up for you.
Yeah, of course. Now I just want to take this moment to talk about what you're doing now in the community.
So I want to be engaged more with the community, but I have 8 grandkids now. So that really takes up a lot of my time. I feel like I have my own little community I'm trying to take care of, with the little different events that they have elsewhere. But I do engage with when my relatives and my nephews and nieces are engaged. I try to help them in regards to whatever they're going through with activity, but me and my cousin are trying to be more involved with the community, engaging with city council to work with trying to get more availability for either programs or resources within the community that may be sponsored by the city to help those who are in financial hardships or what have you, to try and find solutions or different ways of trying to make things more available. Because when I was younger, we were able to get the city to open up the basketball courts in the evenings on the weekends, so that kids would have a place to go and participate in either basketball, weightlifting, or volleyball, instead of going to parties or running the streets or what have you. But that kind of went away after a while. I don't know what happened. It just dropped by its wayside. And I obviously was busy with work and didn't have much time to dedicate to that. And that's not an excuse. It's just the fact that that's what happened. And, but we're trying to see if that's something that we can go and approach again.
Yeah, I hear you 1,000%. So what I'm hearing from you is, it seems like family has been your focal point, understandably. 8 grandkids and children, yes. And then just trying to find different avenues to improve your own community, whereas in financial resources or just different other avenues.
Yes.
Yeah, I respect that completely, 1,000%. At this point, is there anything that you want to say to the audience? Anything you just want to get off your chest or anything like that?
I just say, like the old saying, stay strong. Find yourself an outlet, whether it's through sports, exercise, or God, straight up. If you have God in your life, you can accomplish anything. So with that, and surrounding yourself with same-like people, don't hang out with the people that are doing wrong, because again, that'll bring you down. You're gonna assimilate how they act if they're the majority. Surround yourself with positive people, and don't be afraid to engage with other people as well, because that only opens up doors and opportunities.
Yep, appreciate those words. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Okay.
I really enjoyed your story, sir. I have a few questions here directly from the director. And if you could just start from top, introducing yourself, your name, your experience, and what Oceanside means to you.
Okay, my name is Mike Tyler. I've been a resident of Oceanside since 1965. Went to local schools and high schools and what have you. Been in this community, raised in this community, and seen the good and bad in this community. But at the same time, I still have a lot of love for this community because of the people that are in the community that make up the community. Yes, we've had our hurdles, but we've always been able to rebound and try to come out taking care of each other.
Being a local, right, sir? So I'm born and raised in Escondido, been in North County my entire life. We've had our own stories of our city. However, growing in the valley, I always visualize Oceanside as a beautiful place, the beach, right?
Right.
And we would hear stories of things that happen in Oceanside, we would be like, but why Oceanside is such a beautiful place, right? Could you talk to us a little bit about the culture, where maybe those problems began, and what individuals like yourself and what you would call somebody, the youth, to help out with that, to help those type of situations?
Well, as you said, you think about the beach of Oceanside. That's what the Oceanside is known for, is the beach. And that's what draws a lot of people to the Oceanside, whether they're good people or bad people. And then they come in here, and then they maybe get into run-ins with the locals who think that this is their own thing, where they can become prideful, and that's how some of the things start up. Because Oceanside was also known as a small beach community before we got all this development, and that's what drew a lot of people. But at the same time, we get people from Escondido and people from Oceanside. You come together, and you're not from the same people. There's always conflict, and that's why you would see the negative news that happens in Oceanside. In regards to what I would recommend is us, again, not representing a color or a belief, but representing your family, your loved ones, how you would want your kids or grandkids to go out there and represent yourself, being more respectful, showing respect for, again, our elders. I always go back to respect your elders, because they've had their time here, and we may not see what they have seen in their lives, but they have a lot of knowledge to pass, and they've done their time. Give them their due of respect in regards to, not being disrespectful to them, talking down to them, or thinking that you can just do whatever around these elderly people, because that's just very disrespectful in my eyes, and I just think if we just showed respect and treated people how we wanted to be treated, it's a whole lot easier than if we were just to have conflict with each other, because it's more energy to be bad with each other than to show love to each other.
I love that, Coach. And last question, sir. Let's talk a little bit about sports.
Okay.
That's one thing Oceanside is renowned for, right? Oceanside High, El Camino, the legendary number 55 himself.
Yeah.
And on top of many, many other individuals that continue to come out from Oceanside, right? Oceanside has always led the pack. Right? Yeah. This is a Valley boy saying it hurts, but it is what it is, right?
Well, I appreciate it.
How can we, as a community, right, because the mayor continues to support football, continues to support the new arena team that just came out, right, Oceanside Bombers, and how can we continue leveraging sports for our youth in order to keep them off the streets?
I appreciate the city supporting these, but they need to support their community by, again, making resources available to where it doesn't cost that family be a sacrifice to them to try to get their kids involved in sports, because sports is a very valuable alternative for people to get involved. Education by far is the most important. Okay, but you have that going with sports, it opens a lot more opportunities for you, but a lot of people can't afford to put their kids into those things. And if we had city, because when I was growing up, we had those things available for us. After school, you'd have your school would have a sports team, and you would play the other high schools or the other elementaries in the different sports. And that's what kept continuity with everybody also, because you never saw them unless it was in participation of some kind of sporting event. So that opens up to where we don't have any lines that people want to put out there in regards to where you can cross or cannot cross. So I think if the city, I know that the bottom line is money, and unfortunately that's what runs this world, which is unfortunate, because if we weren't so, I don't want to say greedy, but greedy, and we were able to, invest in the future that way, I think that would come back to pay itself in the future.
Well, Coach, thank you very much. It's been an honor to be able to document a little bit about your story, who you are. Lastly, is there any message, any special shout out? How can we support you? What do you have upcoming this year? What would our audience, and where can they find you?
Well, I really don't have a shout out. I mean, I just ask everyone to just again, our society is in a bad place right now. Bad stuff. We just need to get back to ground roots of not having color lines, but loving one another, finding the Lord, spreading the word, and just being kind to each other. Every God, you see somebody that needs help them. It may not be a lot, but just a little thing like that. Just help anybody that you can. Don't be afraid that you're going to offend somebody or that it's not the right thing for you. It'll look bad for you in your social media platform. But the bottom line is just be kind. Treat everyone the way you would want to be treated. I harp on that all the time because that's what I feel, that you treat the people you want to be treated the way that you want to be treated, you'll come back 10 times fold. That's all I ask, that people just show respect and love for one another and find God.
Amen. I love it.